you didn't ask it to do, the screen lighting up without any notification, the phone taking an unusually long time to power off, strange sounds during calls that aren't typical network quality issues, or the device rebooting unexpectedly without a software update reason. Some of these behaviors are produced by the surveillance software itself, conducting specific operations. A screen illumination can happen when older stalkerware receives a command text message that momentarily activates the display before the software can suppress it. The extended shutdown time occurs because some stalkerware performs a final data upload before allowing the operating system to complete its power down sequence, and this upload takes time. T. He audio anomalies during calls can result from the recording and simultaneous upload process that sophisticated stalkerware conducts while the call is happening. None of these behavioral signs are definitive on their own because benign causes exist for all of them. But as part of a pattern, particularly when several of these signs appear together, they contribute to a picture worth taking seriously. The seventh sign is the one that security researchers at Petronella Cybersecurity, in their June 2026 review of detection methods, described as the strongest indicator of all, more reliable than any technical symptom. Someone knows private details that they could only have obtained by monitoring you, not something that could be attributed to a mutual friend, a shared contact, or an overheard conversation. Something that required access to your private messages, your location history, or your personal communications. A former partner who knows precisely where you were on a day when you told no one. Someone who references a specific message you sent in a private conversation. A person who brings up details from a phone call you had privately. Knowledge of your schedule or decisions that you didn't share. The specificity and accuracy of this knowledge, combined with the absence of any legitimate explanation for how the person could have it, is what makes it so significant. Most people who eventually confirmed they were being monitored described this behavioral sign as the one they noticed first, before they understood the technical explanation for it. Now let's talk about how to actually stop it, because detecting the problem is only the first half of the answer. The removal process follows a specific order, and the order matters for both technical effectiveness and personal safety. Begin by preserving evidence rather than immediately destroying it. Take screenshots of anything suspicious you find during your investigation. Unfamiliar apps, unusual data usage figures, account access from unrecognized devices. This documentation may matter if you choose to pursue legal action later, since installing stalkerware on someone's device without consent is illegal under computer fraud and wiretapping laws in most jurisdictions. Do not plan to restore apps from a backup during this process, because if you back up and then restore from that backup, you may reinstall the surveillance software along with everything else. The next step is a software update on both the operating system and all installed apps. Stalkerware often relies on specific system vulnerabilities or outdated software environments to maintain its access. Updates close those vulnerabilities and can disrupt the surveillance software's ability to operate. On iPhone, this is Settings, then General, then Software Update. On Android, it's Settings, then System Update. After updating, run a security scan with a reputable mobile security tool. Malwarebytes. Mobile and Bitdefender. Mobile security are both referenced in 2026 security guidance as capable of detecting known stalkerware variants, though it's important to understand a specific limitation. Consumer antivirus tools catch many known stalkerware variants, but consistently miss custom or recently updated versions. If a technically sophisticated person created or modified the surveillance software specifically for your device, standard consumer tools may not detect it. Google Play Protect, which is built into Android, should also be run as a complementary scan. On Android, before uninstalling any suspicious application, revoke its elevated permissions first. This is essential because some stalkerware, when uninstalled without first removing its administrator access, resists uninstallation or triggers an alert that notifies the monitoring party. Navigate to Settings, then Security, and remove the app's device administrator privilege, then remove its accessibility services access. After permissions have been stripped, the uninstallation can proceed through the normal app removal process. On iPhone, deleting an unknown configuration profile through Settings, General VPN, and Device Management removes the access that profile granted. Any apps you don't recognize should be removed after the profile is gone. Once your device has been cleaned, secure your accounts from a clean device, meaning a device you're confident is not being monitored. Change every password, starting with your primary email, which is the key to resetting everything else. Switch from SMS-based two-factor authentication to an authenticator app, because SMS codes can be intercepted by someone who has compromised your phone. Sign out of all active sessions on every account, which forces any existing unauthorized access to end immediately. Revoke location sharing from everyone you're not currently and intentionally sharing with. On iPhone, check Find My and Share My location. On Android and Google Maps, check the location sharing settings for any active shares you didn't intend to continue. The nuclear option, and the most reliable technical solution when other steps haven't produced confidence, is a factory reset. A factory reset wipes the device completely, returning it to the state it was in when it left the manufacturer. No user-installed software survives a factory reset, which means no stalkerware survives it. The key requirement is restoring from a known, clean backup rather than the most recent backup, which may have been made after the stalkerware was installed. If you're restoring to a factory reset device, restore from a backup predating when you suspect the surveillance began, and reinstall apps manually rather than restoring the full app package. Let's also address the surveillance scenarios that don't involve stalkerware at all, because August 2026 news coverage specifically highlighted how frequently people attribute their suspicion of monitoring to sophisticated spyware when the actual explanation is considerably simpler and actually easier to resolve. Shared iCloud access, a partner who knows your Google password, a Find My Family sharing setup that was never adjusted, a Google Maps location share that's been active since before a breakup, or a shared phone plan that provides account-level access to call records. All of these produce monitoring outcomes without any software installation on the victim's device. This matters because removing stalkerware won't fix these situations, and they require account-level responses rather than device-level ones. Change passwords, revoke sharing permissions, review which accounts are connected through family plan features, and remove any device from your Apple ID or Google account that you didn't put there. For prevention going forward, the approach that security professionals recommend in 2026 is the same combination of practices that appear throughout this video. A strong device passcode that you don't share with anyone, autolock set to 30 seconds or less, regular review of which apps hold which permissions, and specifically which apps hold device administrator or accessibility access, regular audit of connected devices on all major accounts, and immediate revocation of location sharing and shared account access when any relationship ends. Check your iPhone's Face ID or Touch ID enrollment for fingerprints or face profiles that shouldn't be there. Check your Android's biometric enrollment for the same. Verify that no family sharing, connected account, or location sharing relationship is still active with someone it shouldn't include. The broader pattern that connects all 7 signs is the same pattern that connects all of the prevention steps. The person monitoring your phone needs access to it at some level. They need to have physically held it to install traditional stalkerware. They need to know your passwords to access accounts remotely. They need a sharing permission you granted. Every avenue for surveillance requires something you control. The signs tell you surveillance is happening. The steps tell you how to stop it. And the prevention practices close the doors through which surveillance enters in the first place. If you've gone through this video and you're not sure what you found, or if you found something that concerns you and you're not sure how to interpret it, the Coalition Against Stalkerware at stopstalkerware.org is the most specific resource available for navigating this situation. It provides guidance for both domestic and non-domestic surveillance scenarios, and it connects to support resources for people in circumstances where the surveillance is connected to ongoing harm. You can also contact a professional digital forensics examiner for a confirmed audit if consumer tools haven't produced a clear answer, because professional forensic examination remains the most reliable method for confirming or ruling out active surveillance on a device. The signs in this video give you the framework to notice what your phone may be telling you. What you do with that information and how you do it is the part worth getting right. About these apps, the timestamps of when they access the microphone don't always align with the moments when you were actively using their video features. Here is the specific sequence of changes to make, starting with the most immediate, because this is the part that has the most direct impact on the always-on listening behavior that most people find most uncomfortable. Navigate to Settings, then scroll down to Apple Intelligence and Siri, which is where iOS 26 moved the Siri controls from their previous location. Find the option labeled Talk and type to Siri and set it to off. Confirm your decision in the pop-up that appears. This disables the Hey Siri wake word detection, which means the phone is no longer in the continuous low-power audio monitoring state that the always-on microphone requires. You haven't lost access to Siri entirely. Holding the side button still activates it on demand. What you've changed is the specific behavior where the phone listens continuously for your voice without being physically triggered. One thing most guides don't mention clearly: disabling Siri does not disable voice control, which is a different accessibility feature that also uses the microphone continuously. If voice control is active, the microphone remains in a persistent monitoring state even with Hey Siri turned off. Check this separately by navigating to Settings, then Accessibility, then Voice Control. If you didn't deliberately enable voice control for a specific accessibility purpose, toggle it off as well. Both features disabled means the continuous audio monitoring has been stopped from both sources. While you're addressing Siri, do the second step immediately after. Delete the history that already exists. Navigate back to Apple Intelligence and Siri settings and look for Siri and dictation history. Tap it, then tap. Delete Siri and dictation history. This action removes all of your existing Siri interactions and dictation sessions from your iPhone and from Apple's servers simultaneously. It doesn't just clear a local log. Is a pattern documented consistently. Their microphone permissions often exceed the needs of their core functionalities. An app that was granted microphone access for stories creation retains that permission permanently. Even if you haven't recorded a video for that platform in 6 months, the permission remains unless you specifically revoke it. And when you look at what the App Privacy Report shows, it removes the data from Apple's infrastructure. This is a meaningful step because the historical record of everything you've asked Siri, every voice command, every dictation session, is stored in a form associated with your Apple account. Deleting it removes that association. Start fresh. The next step in the microphone audit is app-by-app permission review, and this is where most people discover something they weren't expecting. Navigate to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Microphone. The screen that appears is a complete list of every application on your phone that has been granted microphone access, presented as a list of toggle switches. Go through this list carefully. The standard to apply is simple. Does this specific application need microphone access to perform a function I actively use and want? A voice recording app? Yes. A video calling app I actively use for work? Yes. Instagram. Only if you actively record stories or reels. Facebook. Consider whether you use any of its voice or video features. A flashlight app? Absolutely not. A gaming app with no voice chat? Absolutely not. A shopping app? Never. For every app where the answer to that question isn't clearly yes, toggle off microphone access. The change takes effect immediately on iOS 26. 5. Confirmed in testing on iPhone 17 Pro with no restart required. If you want to make this audit proactive rather than reactive, the best tool for the job is the App Privacy Report. And if you've never turned it on, you're missing the most powerful privacy visibility feature Apple has built into iOS. Navigate to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then App Privacy Report, and enable it. Once active, it builds a rolling 7-day record of every sensor access by every app on your phone with exact timestamps. This means you can see that your camera was accessed at a specific time, that your microphone was accessed during a window when you were asleep, or that an app connected to 14 different advertising servers during a session where you only used it for 2 minutes. Most users who turn on App Privacy Report for the first time and review it a week later describe the experience as genuinely surprising. The frequency of background access events from apps they don't actively use, the number of external domains certain apps contact, the timing of sensor accesses relative to when the app was open, these patterns become visible in a way that wasn't possible before the report was enabled. Now let's move to the location tracking side of this, because the microphone conversation is familiar enough that many people have at least thought about it before. The location story is less widely understood, and the most alarming part of it lives in a specific place that requires knowing the exact menu path to find, and that, once found, requires Face ID or a passcode before it will even show you the contents. That requirement for authentication before you can view the data is Apple's implicit acknowledgement that what's in there is sensitive enough to need protection. It's called significant locations. Here's what significant locations actually stores about you, because understanding the specific content is what makes the menu path worth navigating to. For every location you visit frequently, your iPhone records the name and GPS coordinates of the place, the dates and times you arrived, the dates and times you departed, the frequency with which you visit, and with iOS 26's addition of routes to the feature name, the paths you travel between these locations. This is not approximate data. This is the kind of data you'd expect from a tracking device specifically installed to monitor someone's movements. It captures the pattern of your life in geographic terms, where you spend your mornings, where you go during working hours, where you spend your evenings, what you do on weekends, how often you see specific people if you visit their addresses regularly, what medical providers or legal offices you frequent, what places of worship you visit. The data accumulates silently without notification and remains stored until you either disable the feature or specifically clear the history. To reach it, start in Settings. Navigate to Privacy and Security. Tap Location Services. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the app list past every individual application. Somewhere in your iPhone's settings, buried 4 menu levels deep, is a record of everywhere you've been. Not a rough area, not a city name. A time-stamped, GPS-precise log of every place you visit regularly, when you arrived, when you left, how frequently you go, and the routes you take between them. It knows you went to that medical clinic on a Tuesday. It knows you left at a different time than usual. And it keeps all of this quietly, protected behind Face ID, which means Even Apple knows this data is sensitive enough to require authentication before you're allowed to see what your own phone has recorded about your own life. And that's before we even get to the microphone. Let's be precise about what's actually happening with the microphone first, because this is the part that generates the most discussion and deserves the clearest explanation. Your iPhone has 3 physical microphones built into it, one at the bottom, near the charging port, one at the top of the device, and one near the rear camera. These 3 microphones work together to handle calls, video recording, and voice-related features. When you enable a feature called Hey Siri, which is on by default, and uses the word Siri as a wake phrase, the phone enters a continuous low-power monitoring state, where all 3 of those microphones are actively processing audio, comparing incoming sound against the acoustic signature of the wake phrase, constantly, including when you're not using the phone, including when the screen is dark, including while it's sitting on your nightstand while you sleep. This is not a conspiracy or a technical exploit, it's design behavior. The feature requires the phone to listen continuously to activate when you say the phrase. Apple has implemented this with privacy-conscious engineering, processing the audio locally on the device rather than sending it to servers, and triggering server communication only when the wake phrase is detected. These are genuine privacy measures, and they're meaningfully better than alternatives that stream everything to the cloud. But here's what those engineering details don't change. Your microphone is on, continuously. And iOS 26 added significant new functionality to Siri through its Apple Intelligence integration, which means the always-on monitoring is now connected to a much more capable AI system than existed in any previous iOS version. More capability, same continuous microphone. The orange dot is the visual indicator Apple introduced in iOS 14 that appears in the top right corner of your iPhone's screen whenever any app is actively accessing your microphone. It's there. If you've ever noticed an orange dot appearing at times you weren't expecting it, now you know exactly what it means. The problem is that most users look at the orange dot, see it briefly, and don't know what they're looking at. It appears, they continue what they're doing, and it disappears. The moment passes without them realizing they just saw evidence that a specific app was accessing their microphone at a specific time. Now let's address the specific apps that consistently appear at the top of the list when privacy researchers audit what's accessing microphones on iPhones. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Snapchat. Each of these apps requests microphone access during setup, typically framed around features like stories, reels, posting videos, or voice messaging. These are legitimate feature requirements. What makes these apps notable in the privacy discussion